Hi, I'm Mars from StrataGames, and today we're playing in a Pauper preliminary, which is 4 rounds, and other than that, it's, just a mini tournament kind of a thing, with some medium prizes if you go 3-1 or 4-0. This week is the Pauper Championship week, and so if we get at least a 3-1, then we get a Pauper point, which can you can use for like a tournament later. So that's what we're doing today. We're doing our black sack stock list. You should be pretty familiar with it. We're going to grow our creatures by sacrificing other creatures. We got some nice removal interaction, and here is our sideboard. We have match 1 right here, so we're going to jump into it. We have pretty interesting one. We need a sack outlet, otherwise the hand does nothing, but 1 carrion feeder or vampire, and the hand goes off really well. A village rights, and it's not bad. I think we're going to try it. This is generally not the type of hand that I love to keep. Like, if these were both just pieces of fodder, and it was all fodders and beetles, I don't think that's a keepable hand, but I can cycle the unearth. If they kill a beetle or something, I can, unearth it. Snuff out's not bad. It looks like we're against potentially Jeskai, Ephemerate or something. Squadron Hawk. Okay, so I'm thinking Tireless Tribe then. In that case, I think that's the only deck that really would run these, and Snowlands tips us off a little bit too. Snuff Out's going to be good for that. Festation Sage. Well, swinging for 1. They're not going to have much, if any, removal, so I'm just going to get down the beetles. And if we manage to find a Carrion Feeder or Vampire next turn, then we can hit pretty hard. Snuff Out I'm obviously not using on a Squadron Hawk. It's going to be targeted at a Tireless Tribe. There is the Tribe. Now, of course, they can have a counter spell here, so just snuffing it out when they have mana up is pretty risky. Of course, doing it on their turn is even riskier because we are allowing them to get the +0/+4 off, but they have to get unblockable, inside out, and then if they have a circular logic, I think we're going to die if they have all of that. I think we're just cycling it on Earth. Then again, they don't currently have that big of a graveyard for a circular logic. They could also just play Dispels. I think I'm just going to swing with a Link Breaker. If they want to block and discard a card, that's fine. I assume they'll just take a damage. They probably would make that trade for a Beetle, but I feel like for a Link Breaker, probably not. And I think I'm just going to pass. Hold up our Snuff Out, cycle on Unearth here if there's nothing else to do. They have the Escape Tunnel. Let's see if they use it right now. Nope. So cycle, Unearth, Swamp. Not drawing great. If we draw a Shambling Ghast, that can just kill the tribe once they flip its power and toughness. That'd be really good. Obviously another Snuff Out. I'll swing for 1. I'm fine with the trade with the Hawk. I guess this puts more cards in their graveyard if we do that, so maybe I don't want to, but they don't take it anyway, or they don't take the trade, that is. I'm just going to pass, have another Unearth to cycle here. They also might play Prismatic Strands, as they often do, so that's something to keep in mind. If they pass, we're cycling another Unearth. Village Rights is a good draw, so I could Sadistically onto a Beetle to start growing it, because if a Prismatic Strands, maybe I want to sack the Link Breaker and then put them Sadistically on the red creature. Kind of do want to do that. I think we're going to just Village Rights. If they want to counter this, and then it's 1 fewer counter spell for the removal spell, so I don't think they're probably going to. Sadistically on the Mercenary, and we've been kind of conspicuously leaving up 2 mana here every turn. It's been for the Unearths, but they don't know that. So I think I'm just going to leave up that mana. Playing out the Sages here doesn't do that much. Attacking with the Beetles, they could double block, and I don't get a lot of value out of that. Also, I just realized that my audio might have been a little rough because I didn't quite have my mic positioned correctly, so ideally it wasn't too bad. Deep Analysis, that might have been an opportunity to snuff out the Tribe, because they didn't have any mana up. Carrion Feeder. Well, now I'm just going to play out everything but the Snuff Out and swing. Hope for the best. They could, of course, have a Prismatic Strands that they discard with the Tribe to then flash back, so there's no guarantee I could deal lethal here. They just take it. Yeah, it feels like they definitely have that, but I could make them use it. Because this is 6. Every creature I sacrifice is +3. So 11, so I have to sacrifice 4 to make it the case. To make it lethal. Yeah, I think we're going to do that. Might as well make them use it. If they don't have it, I mean, we just get them. But I'm going to assume they didn't just do no blocks without a plan. But, of course, the good thing is, even if they have Strands, we have a red creature and a black creature, so we'll still be getting in for some damage. So this is 11. Sack the Sage, and then we'll have to sack one of the insects. And they do, in fact, have the Prismatic Strands. Flash that back. Prevent, I'm sure, black damage. There's no way I could get this to 17, but still dealing 5 isn't bad, and we'll pass. It's also possible we should have just snuffed this out a long time ago. Certainly when they deep analyses, I think we should have. But, we're just giving them more time to draw counterspells and things like that. But, of course, they have to have another Prismatic Strands or blocks here. I guess if they don't go for it this turn, I have 5 mana to snuff out through a Circular Logic. Ooh, Deep Analysis, so that seems like they're desperate. Sack the Escape Tunnel, so they've found what they need. The question is, I guess, just, is this snuff out going to work? If I use it right now and they have a Circular Logic, I can pay the 2, so I think I go for that. If they have a Dispel, doesn't matter. If they have, like, 2 Circular Logics, or I guess they could just discard another card first before the first Circular Logic. Like a whiteout, that would work. Prismatic Strands, and then the Logic. So it's going to be unblockable. Inside Out's going to deal lethal, and we're going to die. Yeah, I should have definitely... I was just playing a little fast, and I did not snuff out when they had cast the Deep Analysis, and that was a mistake. So they're a combo deck with creatures, creature combo deck, so we get our targeted removal and fiends. Rite of Consumption, they have counterspells and Prismatic Strands, although it still feels like it could be okay, but I think this is probably a fine one to cut. Sadistically was good there. Shambling Ghast could have been good. A Cursed Marauder can be good if they just have a vampire. Not a vampire, that's us. A tribe, but it feels like probably they'll have a Squadron Hawk most times. I guess, are those the only 8 creatures they play? Usually, yeah. Maybe the Marauders are fine. I'm going to cut the Sages because I don't really care about the Squadron Hawks, and they are black creatures that are made, so they can't get around the Prismatic Strands as well. Spinning Darkness can't really kill a tribe until they're comboing, but that could still be decent. Rotten Reunion can get Prismatic Strands, that's about it. I guess maybe actually we do a Spellbomb, because Spellbomb can exile their whole graveyard in response to a Circular Logic. Let's try that. No lands, unfortunately. Alright, this one's solid enough. I think we'll just get rid of one of the vampires, since I'm not expecting a lot of removal. I guess they could have, like, gut shots or something from the sideboard. Don't play against Tribe all that often. Play a Swamp and pass. They have a Preordain, the nice Venser versus Koth one. Cast our Vampire. They did keep one on top. Landscape and pass. Ooh, okay, that changes things. I was going to say a Swamp would be nice because I could Fiend with a Village Rites. Shambler Stamina lets me hit for 13 if I wanted to this turn, but I'd probably just go Shambler Stamina, hit for 3, and then I make 4 1/1s, and then we just have a pretty fast clock even without having to sack everything to the vampire. They could have a Dispel here, which would be annoying, but they did not. And hit for 3, Brainstorm. So this is enough that I could deal, 5 damage next turn, or probably 7 with the Fiend that I'll sack to the vampire, and then the following turn I could sack everything to go all in. Assuming they don't have a Prismatic Strands or something like that. That could be lethal. Sack their Landscape after the Brainstorm. Brainstorm again. Landscape, and there's a Tribe. Okay, Swamp is interesting. So I'm going to Fiend, probably. I could Village Rites it now. Then we can take an Inside Out or something. Currently, they need to find Unblockable, Inside Out. I guess just those. So if they have one Inside Out, I can take it away. If we can find a Snuff Out, they don't currently have mana up to keep their Tribe alive. So I could just double Village Rites here to look for it, but I think it's more likely that taking a card from their hand is going to be relevant. So let's do that. Unearth and a Vampire. Double Impulse, Blessing. They did already Brainstorm here, so they could have an Inside Out on the top with an Escape Tunnel. That would be pretty much lethal, right? Because we take a card here, they're at 4. I guess they have to play the Escape Tunnel. Inside Out, I guess they'd be 1 card short. I mean, we have to take the Blessing, I think, because that gives pro black, and then we can't ever kill the Tribe because we took the Accursed Marauders out. Taking a Brainstorm or an Impulse when they already have so many is kind of irrelevant. They already have Unblockable, so it doesn't really matter to leave any of these back. So we're just going to swing. If they also want to block, they have to discard a card to not lose their guy, so that's also pretty good for us. They're going to take it. Of course, this is not lethal, so we'll just deal the 5. This is 11 damage on the Vampire next turn, so if I play a Vampire or an Unearth on the Mesmeric Fiend, probably, sack it to the Vampire, then we can have lethal that we're presenting. They did shuffle away with the Landscape, so they, in fact, didn't have an Inside Out they wanted on top. Another Brainstorm. I guess, actually, by not leaving something back, we've allowed them to hold the Escape Tunnel in hand. So I guess if they just find the Inside Out, they would now have enough cards, right? Because they'd go down to 5. Yeah, it looks like they didn't because they're not just snapped it off. But I guess if they find Inside Out here, by not blocking, not leaving a guy back, we've actually allowed them to win. So that was probably a mistake. 1 damage isn't going to make the big difference next turn anyway, because we can certainly deal a little bit over. So unless they're just weighing their options, if they found the Inside Out and they cast it and then we stuff out, it's pretty good for us, but they do not. They have a Hawk. Well, Hawk's annoying because that's a chump blocker for the Vampire, and they don't have to put the Tribe at risk. Pass. Swamp. So I do think I'm going to Unearth, and since we're not going to be able to deal damage this turn anyway, lethal that is, I'm just going to unearth and village rights the fiend so we can just draw 2 more. Another fiend. All right, so we actually already knew the 6 cards in their hand. I wasn't sure if they got rid of a couple with the brainstorm, but 2 impulses, 3 hawks. I guess we're just going to double fiend them this turn, take both impulses. That leaves them with just a bunch of hawks. I think that seems all right. Maybe I should have just gotten down the vampire so I could have 2 bigger attacking creatures, but so again, yeah, we want to leave back 1 blocker, because otherwise they could top deck an inside out. I guess it'll just be the Shambler since I don't really want to sack that yet anyway. I guess we only get in for 2 damage this way if they block with the tribe, but if they block with the tribe, they have to discard a card, so I'm okay with that. And if they block here with the hawk, they didn't block at all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is just lethal, right? 13 damage? And we just saw their hand, so okay. Well, they didn't block, so we should just have them. All right. They were just seeing if we were willing to go for it. I think they should have just blocked with the hawk there because they could have survived, but they were in a tough spot for sure. Let's just run it back. All right, this is not an interactive hand, but it is an aggressive hand, so I think we're going to keep it. We have Carrion Feeder, then Shambler, Stamina, so that could be a 7/7 feeder attacking. All right, I'm not really seeing gut shots in the sideboard for tribes, so I'm going to hope that they don't have them and just start with the feeder, because if they do, this can could just fall apart. We do have the Unearth, which is nice, but I think the speed is important enough that we're going to just start with the feeder. They don't have anything there, so they could have, like, Counterspell. Obviously, Dispel. Don't think they play, like, Prohibit. Sadistic Glee's pretty good, too. Yeah, let's just Shambler Stamina. And if they Dispel, so be it. They did not, once again. So I have the Sadistic Glee in hand, so I almost want to wait, because then next turn I could put it on the Shambler, sack 3, so we'd have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 damage. If we get a Swamp, we could have 17, pretty much lethal. All right, they just Impulse. Escape Tunnel, and they do have the Tribe. We have the Tragic Slip, but they have Circular Logic up. Shambling Ghast, okay. By holding the Ghast on the field, we can just make sure the Tribe dies, because if they inside out it, there's nothing they could do at that point to stop the Ghast. So they could counterspell this, but then we can Tragic Slip. They'd have to discard 4 cards to keep it alive. They are going to Circular Logic. I can also just unearth it, actually, because as long as this is on the field and we have a sack outlet, I think we just can't lose. So yeah, smart that they did that. I could have sacked and Tragic Slipped in response. They could have a Benevolent Blessing, I guess, but then they'd need 4 mana to inside out and Blessing, and they can't they can't make it unblockable too. So I think unearthing Shambling Ghast is just the best way to not die here. And they've already discarded a card, so I'm not going to attack with these, but I'm going to attack with the feeder. If they want to block, I can sack 3 squirrels to make them discard another card. It's probably worth it. And they do. Of course, that means the Sadistic Glee is getting worse. Yeah, I guess we don't really need to. If we already have this covered, let's just let the Glee do more work growing a Shambler, or maybe a Squirrel, honestly, if we want to go playing around Prismatic Strands. But if we just grow the Shambler and then make a bunch of Squirrels, that also plays around Prismatic Strands pretty nicely. Brainstorm. So they have to have a way to get rid of the Ghast or the Feeder before they go for the combo. And then we should probably also start leaving up Tragic Slip so that, okay, they discarded Deep Analysis just to draw it. Draw with it, I gotcha. Yeah, we're going to start leaving up Tragic Slip as well, so they'd also have to have a counterspell through everything else to really be able to do much. Swamp lets us actually cast everything, so Glee on the Shambler, Link Breaker, and we'll hold up Tragic Slip. Attack with everything except for the Ghast, because we want that to stick around. And this is also just lethal if they don't block one of these, I believe. We'll just pass to them, because there's no way they just let this die, I don't think. They're going to discard something. If they do, that's also fine by us. Yeah, so they discarded Dispel. So I have to sack 3 things to make them discard another card. 1, 2, 3. That's probably fine. Again, we're growing the Shambler at the same time. We'll sack the Squirrels, keep the Mercenary around. And they're going to discard something else, and that's fine. We'll probably just leave it at that. Yep, discard a Holy Light. Okay, good to know about. That could get rid of a Shambling Ghast, which could be problematic. They have 5 damage, 4 toughness. So yeah, I mean, a Tragic Slip, if it goes off and doesn't get countered, they have to have discarded 4 cards to keep it alive. Brainstorm and Standard Bearer. Sure. Targets as part of casting a spell they control or activating an ability. So this is going to be a triggered ability, so I actually don't have to target that with this. However, now is probably a time to just Tragic Slip this. They have to discard 1 card, and then in response to that, I just sack a Squirrel, and this is going to be -13, -13. They don't have enough cards to keep it alive. They don't have blue mana, so we're just going to do that. And we're going to win the match. Definitely nice after not playing the best in that game 1. You can now pick up my comprehensive guide to Esper Cryo Affinity, including 38 sideboard matchups, and I just put out a big update for my Black Sack guide, including a slightly different deck list. I began offering coaching sessions if you're interested in taking your Pauper game to the next level, and I'm accepting deck donations, so if you desperately want me to play a deck that I usually wouldn't play, something like Elves, then you can make me do that for a small fee. I've started posting a League video every single day, not to mention streaming at least a couple times a week on Twitch, but I'm not going to be able to keep that up forever unless I can get a little bit more help from the community. Any of the ways I've just mentioned are great ways to help me out, or you can even subscribe and support me on a monthly basis. All right, round 2 here. We are on the draw with 1 land, but we do have a Snuff Out we can play for free. We have no sack outlet. It's kind of close, even as a 1-lander. If we had a Carrion Feeder, I think I'd keep it, but I don't think we have enough going on. We need to find a land and a feeder for that hand to be pretty decent. This hand's not exceptional, but I think we'll keep it as well. Probably get rid of a feeder and just hope that the second one doesn't die. Looks like we're against Rakdos Madness. So 1 Sage and a Supernatural Stamina. Maybe can keep the Carrion Feeder alive. Could be tough. Start with a Faithless Looting and a Kitchen Imp. We got a Swamp. Pretty bad for us. I'm going to Carrion Feeder, and I could hit for 2 with a Stamina. I could bluff, like, if this currently dies to a Bolt, so they could maybe bolt it, or like Galvanic Blast. Well, Blast wouldn't work, but they could bolt it, and then I could Stamina this in response. We'd waste 2 damage, but they might end up throwing a Bolt at the feeder. I don't know if that's really worth it, but I feel like we kind of need everything we can get. I think I'm going to do it. With 4 lands, we just really need to make the most of these cards, and I think 2 damage is less valuable. Like, us dealing them 2 damage is less valuable than us eating a Bolt, although if they just have 2 bolts here, might not be able to do much about it. There's the Bolt. Tried to Stamina the Sage. I guess if they just bolt that in response, then... Or they just Galvanic this in response. Sure. They should have bolted this, because now I don't even have to sack it. But yeah, this is 5 damage. I mean, if I tried to use this on the Carrion Feeder to survive the Bolt, come back, then I guess the Galvanic Blast wouldn't kill it. That might have been better. Now, there's not really any reason to do anything. I guess this way we also just don't end up with an extra one of these guys, so maybe that was bad. They only have 2 cards left in hand. We're at 15. I mean... We need to draw well. The Vampire's a nice start. But if we do, we could still maybe get there. They're flashing back Faithless. Another Kitchen Imp and a Snacker is pretty annoying. 5. If we can get a Stamina... Actually, if we get any double body fodder creature, we can deal 9 and then Rite of Consumption for lethal. So, yeah, any fodder creature that's not a Shambling would do it. Village Rites... could get there, but I could also, if I draw really poorly, I could just be wasting damage here, but we certainly are going to be casting it, so. Okay, Shambler now is only 7/14, so that's not quite lethal, but I can play that, swing, block with an insect, sack it to the Village Rites, and then next turn we have the same thing, assuming they don't kill the Vampire. Vampire's Kiss gains them some life, okay. Discard to the blood, block, Village Rites. 2 swamps, of course. If we get a Stamina, we have lethal for sure. If we get another double body creature, because of the life gain, we would only be dealing 18. Vampire doesn't do it. So we hit for 2 here. I guess we have to hope we don't die to a Bolt. That was just so unlucky to draw 2 swamps there. Galvanic Blast deals us 4, and then we take 4. Yep. I guess I could have... Look, sometimes people have said, oh, well, you can use Rite of Consumption to gain life, right? But, like... What was I going to do? Sacrifice a whole bunch of stuff here, throw it, gain 5 or 7 life, and then have nothing on board? Like, I'm not winning that game either, so. Pretty annoying. We do gain Graveyard Hate and life gain. And Marauder, Snuff Out, and Unearth are all not super effective here, and I kind of like a Mesmeric Fiend, so we're just going to do the 1. Yeah, we'll keep this. I mean, it's not a very aggressive hand, but we have a bunch of card draw. Hopefully that'll be decent. Start with the Barons. More card draw. Well, I can get a Beetle down so it starts growing with this card draw. I feel like the chance... I mean, it'll probably just die. The chances I can get like a Carrion Feeder or something off these Village Rites is high-ish. I think we're just going to sack Glee and a Link Breaker. Yeah, so we're going to play a Link Breaker. Next turn, I can Village Rites and Beetle maybe. They have an Epicure. Another Beetle. So now might be the time to cast a Beetle, swing, and they block. Am I fine with that trade? Probably. I guess we'll Village Rites here, actually. If I'm lucky, I hit a land and like a Carrion Feeder to grow these out of range of dying, but nope, no land at all. Stamina is fine, I guess. Faithless Looting. Kitchen Imp and a Fiery Temper. So they're going to take out the Beetle. Now they just go face. Okay. They don't care about the Beetle. Interesting. Maybe they only care about the Carrion Feeder. I guess we are down to 12, unfortunately. We get a Swamp. Now I'm going to sadistically onto the beetle because it's going to start growing twice as big, and that can be good for the rite of consumption. Attack with the crew. They're going to chump. That's fine. Now I could play another beetle and a village rites. Then this is a 5/5. It's really hard to kill. I could just play like a link breaker and hold up a stamina. I think I'm going to play the beetle and just pass. If they try to kill this beetle, then I'll village rites, which will grow this one. Sovereign's Bite. Okay. Down to 9. Epicure to block. Yeah. Definitely annoying. We're going to sack the Mercenary token. Grow these guys. Rotten Reunion is fine. Sylvok Lifestaff. There we go. Okay. I mean, we're at 6, so we could just die to burn. That'd be really annoying. And I have no way to sacrifice a creature, except for the Rite of Consumption. Okay, so I could play a Sylvok Lifestaff, equip it to the beetle, attack, they're going to block. Then I can throw this for 7 damage. Then equip this to the insect. They go to 12. I think that's our best way to not die to like just 2 bolts. So I think we gotta do that. I guess I can't re-equip this turn then with the Rite of Consumption. But I gain an extra 3. I think it's gotta be right to do that. Swing with the team. Because I don't want to chump with the kitchen imp this turn. Yeah, they block there. Rite of Consumption. This is a time I'm going to Rite of Consumption for not lethal just to gain some life, but it does not happen often. So we go up to 16. They go to 9. They grab the prize with the Faithless Looting. They could bolt down the beetle if they have that. That'd be annoying. Pilfer. That's an interesting one to bring in. Not the end of the world. Nothing we have here is exceptional. Yep, and they're going to leave that back. All right, we're in a good spot now. And we just top decked the Link Breaker. So I think we're going to Rotten Reunion this Faithless Looting away. We can hold up the flashback for... Oh, wait, they have 2 Faithless Lootings? Oh, I missed that before. I guess I could cast both halves of it. Yeah, I mean, I don't care that much about a snacker at this point. Equip to the insect, swing for 5. They trade there, so we gain 3. Yeah, Rotten Reunion also just gives us guys to sacrifice next turn. I think that's our best bet, is to just exile both of these. Cuts off their ability to do stuff. We're at 17. We've got 3 attackers that are mostly lethal. They have the bolt, that's fine. Faithless Looting from hand, sure. Discard a bolt and a grab the prize. Bolt a zombie. I think they should have... I mean, I could have had a village rights, but they should have held it for when I equipped, I think. I don't know. In any case, they go to 3. I get to play a Link Breaker and a Sage. And there's actually not really a reason to equip, because then... If they get like a End the Festivities or something here, I'd rather have this stamina to grow in response. They have a Vampire's Kiss. That's not going to save them, though. They know we have this stamina, which is just lethal here. Wow. I do not win a game very often without ever seeing a Carrion Feeder or a Vampire. And even with beetles that were pretty large. I mean, we had a 3/3 that died, but we had like a 7/7. Of course, that was because of the Glee, but that's because they don't grow that quickly otherwise. So that was nice. It's going to be tough on the draw here, but ideally we can keep a better hand. That one worked out for us, but it was, it was pretty close. Ooh, Lifestaff in our starting hand. Reunion. Yeah, this hand's great. I might have to leave up Rotten Reunion on turn 1, because otherwise if they get a snacker right away, it could be pretty problematic. And I have a lot of good cards to start deploying, but I can still just get a 2/2 zombie even if they don't go for the snacker. I think it's worth it. Usually it is. That doesn't mean they don't have the draw to, just that they didn't play it there. I'm just going to start with a Shambler. I can hold up a stamina, so if they try to kill the Shambler, which I don't think they would, but I can stamina it. I still have Reunion up. We're taking it a little slow, but the first couple turns, if they get a snacker down, it can be really devastating. After that, it's not as bad. So yeah, this turn, I'm still going to just use the Reunion. Okay. Now I want to set up stamina, Lifestaff, and Village Rites. Well, I think we gotta just Vampire here with stamina. We get so many guys on the field that if they have like an End of Festivities afterwards, it's gonna be kind of annoying for sure. But if they don't, we just start stamina or life staffing all of these. We gain so much life. This also protects our Vampire super well. But End of Festivities would be a pretty good against us right now for sure. They start with a Faithless Looting. Double Alms of the Vein, kind of annoying for sure. Puts us to 10, puts them to 25. 5. If I top deck a Rite of Consumption, I can still have lethal here. And if not, we're just going to go... Oh, we did top deck the Rite of Consumption. Let's make sure I'm not wrong about that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this could be 17, 17, and then I can Rite of Consumption it. All right. I wasn't actually expecting to get it. Of course, we only had two in the deck, but sometimes you get there. So we're going to sacrifice. I don't think there's anything they could have that would kill us here. Hit for 17, zombie token sacks, Rite of Consumption for 17. All right, and that was a very clean turn 4 win. All right, round 3 here on the draw. His hand's not exceptional, not double body creature, 2 feeders. We do have some interaction, which is kind of nice. I think we're gonna mulligan this one. It's pretty close, but Yeah, we'll keep this one. I mean, this one's not great either, but we're down to 6. We have some village rights, so we can draw to something ideally. And looks like we're against Bogles. Yep, Bogles indeed. Well, Shambling Guest isn't going to do too much unless they could make some Eldrazi spawn and stuff like that. If we can find an Accursed Marauder, we should be golden. So the village rights is honestly pretty decent to get there, but that's about it. They have no extra land here, which is nice. Swamp. Just going to play the Ghast. Pass. We're going to chump, assuming they don't gain trample, and then I can village rights. Probably with the Shambler. We have another Shambler if we get a supernatural stamina, and Ghast I'd like to keep around in case it becomes relevant. They have another Sprawl and a Sentinel's Eyes. Yeah, so we're going to block village rights. Beetle. Unearth. Well, we're going to just play these. Unearth is good to keep around if we get a Marauder. I mean, we have 2 Marauders in the deck. Obviously, it's not the best chances to draw one, but if we do find one, we'll be in a decent spot. Cloak makes things tough because now it's got trample. We're going to take it. Vampire. Ooh, okay. That can make things harder for them to block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can make it an 11-11. If they get an Ancestral Mask, it's going to get plus 10. It's going to be 15 though. But if I can make this 11, even if I unearth a Shambler, that would only be 15. Which means I can survive, but I can already survive. I think I just play the Vampire. Hope they don't have an Ancestral Mask. And pass. And then I might end up cycling the Unearth just to dig 1 card deeper to find the Marauder, because that's about all we got. They have the Mask, of course. 15 damage. I guess I can 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 9-9. This would be a 5-5. We still don't even block at all. I think we might as well just, I mean, being at 1 is about the same as being at a little bit more. So we might as well just block here, go to 1. And yeah, definitely going to cycle this. If we find a Marauder, we can just probably pretty easily win. And if we don't, we're probably just dead. Yeah, Carrying Feeder. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, and 5. So I can only block 14. So we're dead. Well, that's unfortunate. We have a decent matchup here, but obviously we have to find a Marauder, otherwise it's not going to pan out. So we get another Marauder, and Mesmeric Fiends take out the Snuff Outs, Shambling Ghasts, and an Infestation Sage. Now, if I do this, I have no way to kill an Eldrazi spawn token if they go in on that, which might be fine, because they might not, but I almost want to bring in like 1 Snuff Out, or keep in 1 Snuff Out or Tragic Slip to have an out to that. Obviously, we had a Snuff Out in our hand there, and it was just bad. It would have been better as a Sage. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. If they get into the position where they can put everything onto a token and that works out, then good for them. This hand needs a land, and then we have Vampire Shambler with a Beetle. Without a land, we're going to lose. We have no Marauder too, but this hand's really good. If we can get there, I think we're going to ship it. All right, we have a Marauder, so I'm not upset about that. We'll keep this one, get rid of 1 Sage. If we found another hand that was like about the same, but you know, didn't have a Marauder or a Mesmeric Fiend or something, then it would just be kind of a waste, but at least the mulligan feels worthwhile here. They have the Scout. I'd still love a Fiend to kind of see what's up, but looks like we're just going to put a couple of these down, and I'm just going to grow it a bunch. I don't know if I want to go all 5, but if I do, and then I Marauder this away, I can finish them off pretty quick. I think we are going to. This is the only creature we have in our hand to grow. If obviously if we top deck a Beetle, I would have preferred to wait, but I just have no way of knowing that'll be the case. Ethereal Armor, no Rancor or anything. Okay, just 2. Infestation Sage. So I can obviously play the Marauder, but do I want to now? They might be holding up like a Vitality Charm in case I have an Edict that's not a Marauder, or they could have like a Tamio's Safekeeping to keep the armor alive. I don't know. Unless they have a flash non-token creature, I think we'll be fine. Yeah, I think we just play the Marauder here. We have a fast enough clock that even if they get down another creature here, I think that's going to be okay, because we have 8. I could have just made it 1 more damage there, but notably if I had sacked both of these, I would not be dealing them lethal damage this next turn. If I draw any creature, 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I think maybe by not sacking the insect token last turn, I wasted 1 damage, and I could force a chump block here, and now I'm not. They're at 2. They have to get lifelink and something massive, but if I had sacked the insects, then we would have had lethal there, so hopefully that doesn't bite us. Playing Ash Barrens, Abundant Growth. They have a Cloak. That's not going to do it. And we even have another Beetle. We can attack with the team. This is a trigger that's going to go on the stack, so it doesn't matter if they block, and even if I don't sacrifice it, it'll still be lethal. So, all right, we got there. Mulligan worked, and we're going to hope it works again. All right, double Right of Consumption. is pretty awkward, but we have Feeder with a Shambler, we have an Accursed Marauder. Having a Rite of Consumption is pretty nice, honestly. So I think we're going to keep this. Obviously, if they get a second creature on the field, that can make the Marauder a lot worse, but ideally we can find an Unearth or a Stamina or something to use it twice. They do just play a Ledgewalker here. They don't attack. I don't know if they know they can't block. Infestation Sage is kind of nice because it gives us a blocker for the Ledgewalker in case we want that. I'm going to attack and sack. I think if we get a Stamina, I'm going to want to use it on the Marauder, so I don't need to keep the Shambler around for that reason. And I think I want to keep one chump blocker here, but we're going to hit for 4. I do want to get this big as quickly as possible because of the Rite of Consumption, so that's something to note. They don't currently have white, but Ash Barrens looks like it's going to fix that. Getting a Plains, Abundant Growth, and no attacks. Nice. Nothing to enchant these with for 1 mana. Maybe they have all 3 drops, which 3 drops are really good. Unearth is amazing. So I could just kill both of these right now. We hit for 5. They're at 11. Next turn, if they don't have another creature, I can hit for another 5. If I don't get a creature, I can't Rite of Consumption for lethal. So I could wait on the Marauder. Feels like they're probably going to play something to buff these up, but they didn't have another 1-drop creature, it felt like, unless they wanted to protect against like a board wipe. I'm just concerned they could like play a 3rd creature and then start buffing one of these up, and that's going to be really bad. I think it's probably better if we just Marauder here. So we're going to do that and kill both of these. Get in for 5. And if we top deck any 1-drop creature, assuming they don't have a blocker, we can get lethal with the Rite of Consumption. If they don't have a blocker, then we should just be able to kill them next turn. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. Sprawl, and they do have a Ledgewalker. Only 2 cards left in hand, so I mean, if they had played that as a 3rd creature, it could have been problematic. So I could attack with both, hit them for 5, Village Rites the Insect, and if I get a Swamp and another creature for 1 mana, I could Rite of Consumption for lethal. I think it's probably safer to just hit for 4, leave back the Insect, but if they gain Trample, it's not going to matter. They can't deal us lethal. Yeah, I think, in fact, I maybe should have just Village Rites first, but I think I attack with both. Oh, they can't block this anyway. I was thinking they could. I could block it, obviously. We'll deal them 5. We might as well do this because I could potentially get lethal. Oh, it had to be a double body creature because I didn't grow off of this. That's okay, though. I'm not going to Rite of Consumption here. I could, with the Feeder, put him to 2, and then the Beetle grows. Next turn, I could Rite of Consumption, but if they have a way to gain life, that throws that all out of whack. And I mean, if they have, like, Cloak and an Ancestral Mask, then we could be in a pretty bad spot. And that's exactly what they have. 9 damage. So they're going to go up to 15. I guess we need an Unearth. Okay, that's actually pretty good. Link Breaker puts this as 6, this at 9. Yeah, actually, that should be lethal. All right. Oh, if we didn't draw a fodder creature there, though, it was going to be pretty bad. But now we just hit for 9, and then Rite of Consumption for lethal. Yeah, so I do think the double Marauder that turn worked out. Obviously, maybe they started just putting enchantments on their creatures, and maybe I could have gotten a little more value, but it's also possible they would have played the Ledgewalker first, and then I wouldn't have been able to actually kill the one I needed to, and then they would have been attacking earlier, so I think it was probably better to do it the way I did. Alright, round 4 here, and I believe Noob plays Gardens, so this one's not great. Snuff Out would be kind of useless. Rite of Consumption may be good in the late game. Carrion Feeder's good, but keep getting this Ghast. Obviously Ghast in the deck because I like it, but we're not going up against any opponents where the Ghast is super helpful. Tireless Tribe, obviously it was. But I'd love a double body creature here. I don't think this is quite going to cut it. I mean, again, we're not getting the fodder we need, but I guess this one's okay. We can definitely protect one of these pretty decently, which is not bad against, if we are against Gardens, but currently they don't grow very nicely, so could be problematic if we don't get any fodder, and they could just Defile right here. Okay, well, Duress, not the end of the world. Just kind of show that our hand doesn't do much. I assume they take the Stamina, because if I get a Shambling Ghast, not a Shambling Ghast, a Nested Shambler, then that'd be really good. And I guess I'm just going to play the Vampire. Pardon the noise outside. There's a Garden. Pass. Sadistic Glee is generally a card I would side out here, because they have a lot of removal to make it obsolete. Now, obviously, they play Snuff Outs, which we don't care about. They play some Tithing Blades, which honestly could be relevant here without fodder. Cast Downs, Defile, I don't care too much about. I think I'm gonna Sadistically onto the Vampire and just hope for the best. We gotta play the cards that we have, so there's no reason to really hold on to it, I don't think. Especially because it does let us grow if they chump with the plant token. Cycle a Troll here for a Swamp. They don't block. So I could sack this Feeder to this to grow them both by 1. I think since it's the only fodder we have, I think I'd rather save it. So if we do that and then they kill this Feeder, then we have no feeders. Whereas if we wait, it could be better. They could have a Drown in Sorrow, in which case we just have to Keep one vampire alive here. They play a Wellspring. I mean, they could have a Defile for 2. Things are feeling okay. If we can get fodder off the top, all right. That's great. I think I just sack right away and then unearth it so that I have as much going on as possible. This really helps insulate against a Defile, which I don't think they have because we haven't seen. I feel like they would have played it by now, but now it doesn't feel too bad. They don't block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, 16 damage I could deal. I'm 1 short of lethal. Is that right? No, wait. Because they grow 4 per. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I sack everything to the vampire, oh, it's only 3 because this isn't a beetle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 17 damage. What could they have? Actually, yeah, if we sack the feeder too, we have 17 damage here. Defile could keep them alive. If I sack everything and then they have the Defile would keep them alive. It wouldn't kill the vampire. And if they have like a snuff out, or not a snuff out, a tithing blade or cast down or anything, it's bad. I kind of feel like they don't have the Defile though. I don't know what else they could have. I guess they could like cycle a troll, have a spinning darkness for their own plant. I think we're gonna go for it. This is gonna be 17 damage. All right, they took it. All right, there was always the chance that they were trying to trick us into defiling and then casting down, and then we're pretty much dead, but it didn't feel like they had the Defile. I couldn't think of any other card except for like a Spinning Darkness that would have thrown us off there. So that was a nice start. So sadistically actually worked there pretty nicely, but obviously not a reason to just keep it in. Here we get to bring in Mesmeric Fiends to try to eat some of their removal. Rotten Reunion just as a way to throw off a Defile or a Tithing Blade or something like that. And we can get rid of our removal and sadistically. 1 lander, but we do have a Village Rites, Beetle, Blood Throne with a Rite of Consumption. We're on the draw. Yeah, I think this one's okay. Opponent mulls to 5, starts with Garden, and we draw the Swamp. So I could just Beetle. That's just pretty bad to a Defile. Of course, I'm gonna start with the Shambling Ghast because if we top deck a Carrion Feeder here, then I can go Feeder, Beetle, sack the Ghast for a treasure, and then play an Infestation Sage. Then we have a lot of protection against them. Fiend, okay. They block, so they're gonna go for a draw 2, I assume. I could Beetle here and Village Rites. I think we got to get the vampire down. It's kind of bad if the vampire just dies here, but they have to have a cast down specifically. Tithing and Defile don't do it, so they go for a Lembas. Scry to the top with the Bajuka Bog, okay. They could have just kept a land if they didn't have another, or maybe they found something else they wanted. So I could just Fiend here. Yeah. I think I'm gonna... It's a little risky. Beetle, sack the Ghast to the Blood Throne and then play the Fiend. Or I could sack the Ghast to Village Rites, and if I get a land, I can still play the Fiend. I guess we're going to try that. Hope to draw that land. We didn't. We still get to just put down an Infestation Sage as some protection. Yeah, it could have been worthwhile to just get the Fiend down there, but depending on what they play here. Witches, I think that's probably fine. Could be a little annoying, but I have enough guys. It's probably okay. Start with a Fiend, sack it, see if we have like a cast down or something to deal with. Obviously, if they have a cast down there, we'll probably just use it in response. We Drown in Sorrow. I don't think I care too much about that. Tithing Blade, I certainly don't care about. Fanatical, double Fanatical. If I take, I mean, between Tithing Blade, Drown, and the Witches, maybe I do need to worry a little bit. But if I play like Sage, they cast a Drown, I can sack, ping, sack. Yeah, I think I'm okay. I'm going to take an Offering here and play an Infestation Sage. Let's swing with these two. This is 12 additional damage, so this could be 18 right here. They're just taking it again. I mean, this time it's not going to be lethal because each sack is 3, so this is 12. Yeah, 18 damage. But I think we might as well sacrifice a little bit. I think I'll just do 1 because they have a Tithing Blade, Drown in Sorrow. Yeah, well, maybe I shouldn't have sacrificed at all, but 9 damage is a good amount. They're going to Offering. Of course, they also had the Lembas, so we were 1 short, plus they could have gained 3, so we weren't winning there. Cycle a Troll for a Swamp. So if they tap Witch and try to deal damage to the vampire, I'm going to sack the Insect because that protects against the Drown in Sorrow best. If they just pick off like the Sage, then I can't do much about it. Crypt Rats, sure. Okay. If they deal 1 damage, probably fine. I also have this Rotten Reunion for instant speed creatures. Swamp. They don't have mana. We know 2 of their cards. They don't have mana for Lembas. So I could just start sacrificing creatures to grow for the Rite of Consumption. I don't think I need to do that. I think I can kill him here pretty easily. Just attack with everything. I mean, like, I have enough to Rite of Consumption with the Bloodthorn Vampire, but I'd rather they, like, use up some of their creatures first or something. So this is going to block here. I will sacrifice the Shambler. They probably will respond to this. Well, to the vampire growing. They might let the squirrel hit first so they can try to kill that. No, that's fine. All right, well, I'll go to kill their guys. They're dealing 1 to Sage. So I'll ping them. Response, I will sack the Sage. And now they're going to go for a Crypt Rats. Wipe all the last guys, I assume. 1 damage. So yeah, I'll just sacrifice these guys and then write a consumption for lethal. Eat their guys. Throw a vampire for 11 damage. Nice. And so there are the standings. We are the 4-0. We won the preliminary. And we got that Pauper point that you're able to get this week playing and getting a 4-0, or I think even a 3-1 with a preliminary, and some decent prizes. This deck is fantastic. I love it a lot. It's very fun to play. If you are interested, I have a full 60-page guide on the deck, including 37 sideboard matchups, anything you're likely to play against on MTGO, or even in your locals. You can pick that up at the link in the description. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.